Today I've got the third and final part for my ranking of all of the modulars of the last 15 years. Starting off at number 5, we've got the Grand Emporium from 2010, which this modular, for being 15 years old, isn't too bad of a modular, especially considering I only just built it for the first time this past January. It was actually pretty enjoyable, even though a lot of the build was basically repetitive, and the build is mirrored on each side except for the window washer and the ice cream stand. Basically everything else exterior wise is mirrored, so that's kind of a downfall, but considering everything else that I'd built leading up to this hadn't really been super simple, and I was looking for something pretty simple to kick off the new year. This was just what I needed to start the year off, so pretty happy with this edition that started, or it was my second modular for the year. We'll get to what started the year off in a little bit, and that's part of the main reason why this is number 5 on my list, was mainly down to the simplicity. And it did still have some pretty rare pieces, mainly the 1x2 dark green window pieces, which were relatively rare, as well as the corner balcony pieces here out on the front. Those were only used in a handful of pieces up to, I think, 2014, I believe. And then the large skylight pieces were only used in this set, as well as the UCS Imperial shuttle from Star Wars, which came out in, I think, 2012. So, pretty rare piece right there. And then this is the only modular that's basically only held in by its own weight. No studs attaching any of those floors, which I tend to forget when moving this building around, so I might go through and modify that set just so it's actually stud attached. And then at number 4, we've got the the Assembly Square from 2017, which overall, normally I'm not a fan of modulars with multiple buildings or multiple shops and jobs inside for one build, but I make an exception for this set, mainly because the city square is supposed to have multiple shops in it, and so this set offering you, I think it's like 6 to 7 different little shops in it, plus an apartment, is actually a welcomed transition for something different. And this is one of the few opportunities that I'm actually okay with it, and especially for the fact that this gives you multiple different little callbacks to previous modulars from the past 10 years, from 2007 up to 2016, as well as some new little things with Assembly Square as well. So that's just some of the things that I really like with this build, as well as the fact that we finally get a general city square area. So pretty happy with that. The one gripe that I do have with the set is the fact that they just didn't extend the tile work on this section of Assembly Square in the back. but that's not a big problem overall. But there is one thing that I am still questioning. Like, I don't mind that this is an open air barbecue area, but if they would have added a few more pieces to just allow us to have this closed in, I think that would have been a better choice. But overall, Assembly Square is still a great build, and it's still one that I would have loved to get a second copy of just to keep sealed, and still holds up very well to this day. And then we've got my number 3 ranking, which was my original number 1 from when I started, because this was actually my first modular back in 2018. It's at 10246, The Detective's Office, from 2015. And overall, I just absolutely love this build, and I constantly find myself just coming back to this set for build ideas, just wanting to take little parts of this build and for my own mocks, and just the story for it is just wonderful. The only real gripe I have with this set as a whole is probably just the fact that the water tower up on the roof just tends to fall off a few times. Like, not frequently, but it falls off enough to where it can be a problem. And that's probably my biggest problem with this build. But overall, having to choose between this and the brick bank, which I had to in 2018 without even knowing it, is like, I don't know which thing. I didn't know which one I wanted to, but I loved the overall look of the detective's office from the get-go in 2015, and I didn't even know that I was headed down the path of the modulars in 2018. I just always had loved the detective's office set when it came out in 2015, and so for my 18th birthday was finally able to get the set, and it's been one of my go-to favorites ever since, and it probably will remain near my top favorite for a very long time, and that's why it's still number 3 on my list today. As for my number 2, we've got set 10312, the Jazz Club from 2023, which overall, if I had to pick one of the 3 modulars of the past 3 years to get a second copy for, hands down, I'd be getting a second Jazz Club. Mainly, if I would have never gotten the Town Hall, I would have gotten a second Jazz Club and then modified it to turn it into a Town Hall, because you can basically do just about anything with the Jazz Club on the first floor, so you could make it into a Town Hall very easily if needed. And so the only real gripe that I have with the Jazz Club itself is mainly the fact that they didn't continue the dark red from the second and third floor through the first floor. I don't know why the heck they didn't do that, but overall, everything else with this build was just wonderful. To me, it felt like basically an upgraded version of either the detective's office or a slightly smaller but upgraded version of the town hall. And so it's like, overall, that's one of the main reasons the detective's office, or not detective's office, the Jazz Club ranks number 2 on my list. And just getting that little pizza restaurant built in for it is just major bonus for me personally, because when the pictures released for this in late 2022, I was actually working on a pizza restaurant mock for my city. And when the pictures came out, I basically scrapped all those pizza plans and just said, screw it. This I'm getting day one, which I think we I think ultimately I ended up just basically waiting for the gift with purchase for that, which ended up, I think that was the moving truck GWP, because that's still one of my favorite gift with purchases outside of the 40th anniversary train. So really happy to have this in the collection. And then number one, we've got set 10218, the Pet Shop Modular, which overall, my only gripe with this set outside of missing one sand blue 1x1 brick when I was building the set, because I got this sealed box off eBay, but the set was missing a 1x1 brick. Thankfully, that color and piece is still available on Pick-a-Brick, so I was able to order it quick. But overall, the main single gripe that I have with this set is the fact that they didn't do the pet sign in either a sand blue or a black just to match the rest of the building. Or even just a gray would have been nice, but I can understand why they didn't do gray, because the different color of blue for the sign just kind of throws everything off. But overall, the build for the pet shop itself was just wonderful, and I absolutely love it. And there's nothing really wrong with that. And the townhouse, the fact that it's basically under renovation and you can do absolutely anything, just makes it a major win. And those French doors on the top is just major win. So that's just big win there. And the fact that this was the first modular that you could actually split in half if needed was also big win out of these 15 years, for the past 15 years of the modulars. So, and also a pet store, working at a pet store was actually my first job outside after high school, so I always wanted the pet store modular for the city. And so after getting the Palace Cinema, when I was working the pet store, this was basically the number 2 for retired modulars, so this is the one that I was after. And so this basically led me down the hole of getting retired modulars. So that's my full ranking of the past 15 years of modular buildings. So you guys can tell me your thoughts and rankings, if you guys have any, in the comment section below, and just like and subscribe for more, because I will do more in the future.